Hey everybody, it's Mandy from Chapel Forge. So I've been talking about how I went to the local produce auction near our new house. It was fantastic. So my first time there, we got onions, lettuce, lavender, rhubarb, and I went with Missy at Homesteading Roots and she got some zucchini. So we bartered some onions and zucchini, which was awesome. I'm not doing any food preservation with zucchini. We just took some to, use with dinner or whatever. So today I'm going to talk to you about how to preserve rhubarb. So rhubarb can be a little tricky in that it's super tart. Some people are okay with that, but it can almost be like sour. So typically, you hear about like strawberry rhubarb pie and things like that. What I want to do this year is I'm going to just can the rhubarb by itself. That way I'm not locked into strawberry rhubarb or anything in particular like that. So if I can it by itself, then we can add it to peaches or apples or strawberries or blueberries or whatever we want. So if we want to make blueberry rhubarb crisp, we can do that. Mix the two fruits together, make a crumble topping, maybe a little fun drizzle, call it a day. If we want to add some peaches to it or something, we can throw some peaches in with the rhubarb, sweeten it up, use a pie crust, and we'd have a delicious pie. So that's what I decided I'm gonna do. Something that is a little surprising, or at least it is to me, is that rhubarb can be water bath canned. Typically, things that are water bath canned are very acidic. Rhubarb doesn't instinctively seem like it would be acidic, like tomatoes, or I don't know, vinegar-based things or whatever. So you can water bath can this. So if you're new to canning or if pressure canning kind of scares you, rhubarb is a really easy one to start with. So I have these bunches down here. I got 60 pounds of rhubarb at the auction. I got it for 45 cents a pound. So there was no way I was leaving it for 45 cents a pound. The cheapest I've seen it at stores, even like our discount stores, is like $3.95 a pound. So there was no freaking way I was leaving it for that price. And I don't have a successful rhubarb crop because we just moved here. So I'm working on that. So I got two rhubarb roots from Missy. So I'm hoping to put those in, maybe start my own rhubarb crop. That would be fantastic. It typically spreads, so I'd love to just have this big, beautiful bed of rhubarb. But for this year, we're gonna rely on other farmers and support them. So I have these boxes of rhubarb. Basically what I'm gonna do is just rinse them. The farmer already pretty much cut the leaves off, so I'll just cut off a little bit more of the top. You're technically not supposed to eat rhubarb leaves, at least in mass quantities or whatever. So I'll probably just cut off a little bit more of the top, throw it to the chickens. Technically, yes, chickens, deer, anything, whatever, should not be eating an excessive amount of rhubarb leaves. But there's really not that many leaves left. It's kind of just like a woody top part, so they'll be fine. And there's 70 of them out there to fight over them, so they might each get like one or two. I'm really not concerned about it. So I'm gonna throw those tops of the chickens. We're gonna get these cut into 1-inch pieces, and then I'll show you how to can them. All right, so we're on day 2 of rhubarb. I had a few more to get the ends cut off of. I am working on cutting them into pieces. You're supposed to soak them in sugar for a couple hours. I think I'm probably gonna do that. I can get my onions canned while they're soaking. I'm not gonna use the full amount of sugar. The recipe calls for 1/2 to 1 cup per pound. And I have, even once I cut the ends off, I started with 60 pounds of rhubarb. Even with the ends cut off, I'm guessing I have like 50 pounds, and I'm not really into 50 cups of sugar. I often find that the ball book really overshoots the amount of sugar, which is why a lot of people use like Pomona's pectin when they make jelly and things like that. So I'm just gonna do a small amount of sugar just to sweeten it a little bit. I really feel like if we mix it with sweeter fruit when we prepare it in dishes like crisps or pies or whatever, that it's going to offset the tartness enough. I mean, we don't want to lose all the tartness of the rhubarb. That's the like appeal of rhubarb, is it's not super sweet. So I'm going to work on getting these cut into 1-inch-ish pieces. And then we will get to canning. Well, we're gonna soak it and then we'll get to canning. So I am macerating the rhubarb, which basically means I just sprinkled sugar on it. So I have this handy little scoop. Every like couple layers, I just take a little sugar and sprinkle it on. Again, sugar is not necessary for canning. It doesn't affect the acidity level or the safety or anything. So this is really just however little or more you wanna do. All right, so I have 2 big stainless steel stock pots here. I prefer stainless steel because they typically have a heavy bottom. Aluminum has a tendency to burn. So if you're gonna get into canning, having at least 1, 2 is usually helpful. Heavy bottom stock pots that are stainless steel, it's super helpful. They're a little bit heavier, a little bit more cumbersome maybe than aluminum, but they're totally worth it. The heavy bottom kind of gives you a little bit more of a layer of protection between your burner and your food so that you don't get burning. So the rhubarb got, like I said, it's wet. Like the amount of syrup that it created from the sugar sitting on it for like 4 hours is amazing. And it's not a ton. Like, I mean, seriously, I'm guessing after I cut off these ends, I got 50 pounds or so of rhubarb. The book calls for, and the book is always excessive, like I said about sugar, 1/2 cup to 1 cup of sugar per pound. Per pound. I mean, I read that right. Oh no, for each quart. Nonetheless, each quart. There's no way I use that. I maybe use 4 cups of sugar on 50 pounds of rhubarb, which I feel like is a very acceptable amount of sugar. And you can use white sugar, cane sugar, whatever it is. I have like a mixture of sugars right now because I had a bunch of sugar left from before Zad's heart attack that I didn't want to just throw it away. So I kind of mixed my cane and my white sugar just to use it up. And then once my barrel of mixed sugar is gone, we'll just switch to like a pure cane sugar from Azure Standard, or like our local Amish stores have them in 50-pound bags and things like that. So anyway, so I have these on the stove. Just if you have a propane stove, you probably know this, just be a little bit more cautious with your heat because it can burn really quick. And if you burn your pot, you're done. It's all gonna stink and it's going to the chickens. So I have mine on like just above low right now. I had propane at the other house, but this is obviously a different stove. So, you know, I'm just kind of being a little more cautious as I learn about what power boil actually means. So we're gonna let these sit. The book calls for you to bring them to a slow boil. So I'm gonna let these sit for a little bit and then we're gonna get them into our jars, which this is so unlike me, but I prepared my jars before I left this morning. I can't even believe it. So I'm just gonna flip these over and then we'll get them filled. Well, I'll heat them up and then we'll get them filled. All right, so you can see that it's really starting to do exactly what I need to do. They're breaking up just a teeny bit, which is fine. I probably cut mine into, some of them are 1 inch, some of them might be more or less, whatever, it doesn't matter. These are not quite as cooked down, so you can kind of see the difference visually between them. This is getting really close to being ready to can. These need to heat up for a little bit longer. And then I still have another bus tub over there that I need to do. So I'm gonna get my jars heated up and we're gonna get this one canned here in a few minutes. All right, so as you might already know, whenever you're canning, when you get to it's like, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. So we're at the, oh my gosh, hurry up stage, which means I gotta make this clip and then I gotta drop these in. So I have my hot water going in my canner. I have my hot product, hot food, in my hot jars. I'm gonna drop these in. Everything when you're water bath canning needs to be at the same temp, so all hot. or all cold, or however you're going to start. Like, everything just needs to be the same, or you're going to have thermal breaks. The bottom of your jar is going to blow out, and it's going to be a big mess. So I am going to get these dropped in the canner. I'm going to keep rolling through these. All right, always have your jars covered, your lids covered with water, and then you're going to put your lid on. As soon as it comes to a boil, start your timer. So the time on rhubarb is 15 minutes, whether you're doing pints or quarts. So that's fantastic. It's not like 40 minutes like some things. Don't forget to remove the air bubbles. I forgot to say that. Don't forget to remove the air bubbles, especially with something like this, because it's got the syrup and all that. There's definitely going to be a lot of bubbles. I love this flat silicone spatula. You can get the little bubble remover thing from like Ball, or there's a zillion brands these days. I have a few of them, but who the heck knows where they are since we moved. So this actually, I like this a lot better. This worked really well. So pro tip, if you want to save yourself a little bit of money, you can use this. Some people use like plastic knives. You can use a metal knife, just be careful because you don't want to chip your jar, obviously. But make sure you get those bubbles out. So we're gonna let this go for 15 minutes. We're gonna set our timer on Alexa. And then as soon as they come out, we are gonna roll through. I'm hoping to get, I don't know, we might get upwards of 50 quarts, so we'll see. All right, so we're finished with the rhubarb. I got 28 quarts. I am really happy with the way this looks. It is gonna be, it's kind of hard to see it, but it is gonna be fantastic for, that's hot, crisp or pie or whatever. I have a little bit that was left that didn't fill a jar, so I pulled out a pint of strawberry sauce and one of my pre-made pie crust. If you want the recipe for this, Missy has it on her website at homesteadingroots.com. You can check it out there. So that'll be a delicious dessert for us tonight. So cost on this, which is always my favorite part at the end, to figure out how much it costs. That's not always the point necessarily to get the cheapest, but if it comes out cheap, then all the better. So I got 28 quarts of rhubarb. I spent $27 on 60 pounds of rhubarb at the produce auction. You figure I have, I don't know, 20 cents in a lid. Kind of varies, I would say, between like 15 to 30 cents, depending on where they come from and if COVID's happening or whatever. So let's say we got 20 cents a lid. We have about $1 in rhubarb, a little teeny bit of sugar, and some propane. So we might be at $1.50 for a quart tops, which I think is fantastic. I am really excited about this. Canned rhubarb is not really something I see at like produce stands or the grocery store or whatever. So like if that's something that you want to make for your family, it's almost something you have to make yourself. So this was super easy. I would totally do this again. 28 quarts, you figure that'll give us like one every other week. And you know, and for the next year, I would probably do this again next year because I have a feeling we're really going to enjoy this, and I have a bunch of fruit in the pantry that I really want to use up, so this is going to be a great way to do that. And if not, then it's something I don't have to can next year. So one of my goals this year is to really fill in the gap. So I did the onions, I did the rhubarb. These were things I did not have on the shelf. I don't think I need to do salsa this year, for instance. I have plenty of that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Go try something new in your canning adventures. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll see you next time.